All right, let's jump right in. Today we're diving deep into Thailand, and the news has been pretty wild lately.
Yeah, no shortage of drama and intrigue, that's for sure.
We've got scandals, mysteries, and even a potential health crisis brewing. So strap yourselves in. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
We'll be breaking down these stories, going beyond the headlines, and exploring what they reveal about Thailand today.
First up, a scandal that's rocking the Thai police force. We're talking about allegations of theft, infidelity, and possible cover-ups.
And it all centers around the wife of a former top cop, someone known by the nickname Big Joke.
So, Big Joke, real name Surashat Hakpan, was the deputy police commissioner, and his wife, Siranata Kupkip Hakpan, is the one accused of stealing millions of baht worth of jewelry and cash.
From another police officer's wife, no less. It's like something out of a TV drama.
The alleged victim in this case is Tanatha, and get this, she reported that 600,000 baht in cash and over 5 million baht worth of gold jewelry went missing from her apartment.
Now, Kupkip has been arrested, but the plot thickens because when the police searched her place, they found 5 bags of cash just sitting there.
5 bags of cash just left behind.
Yeah, it's a bizarre twist. The police are now doing DNA analysis on that money, trying to figure out where it came from and who it belongs to.
It makes you wonder if there's more to this story than meets the eye.
Oh, there's definitely more to it. This case is already raising serious questions about corruption within the police force.
Right, especially because Big Joke himself is already under investigation for alleged ties to illegal online gambling rings, along with a bunch of other high-ranking officers.
This latest scandal just adds fuel to the fire. It really makes you question the integrity of the police force and whether they can be trusted to uphold the law.
It's definitely a blow to public trust. Now, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about a historical event that still haunts Thailand, the Tok Bai incident.
Yeah, it's been 20 years since that tragedy, and the wounds are still very raw.
For those who aren't familiar, in 2004, 85 protesters died from suffocation while being transported in overcrowded army trucks in the southern province of Narathiwat.
A horrific event that really exposed the deep tensions between the Thai government and the Muslim-majority South.
And just recently, the 20-year statute of limitations expired, meaning those responsible are unlikely to face any legal consequences.
It's a huge setback for those who have been fighting for justice all these years.
Especially since the main suspect, former 4th Army Region Commander Fisan Watanawankari, has reportedly left the country.
It's a tough pill to swallow for the families of the victims. They've been waiting for 2 decades for some semblance of accountability, and now it seems like they won't get it.
The Prime Minister has expressed condolences, but says his hands are tied because the law prevents extending the statute of limitations. So where does this leave Thailand in terms of reconciliation and healing?
It's a complex question. This case highlights the need for a more meaningful dialogue about the past and a genuine effort to address the grievances of the people in the South.
Otherwise, this cycle of violence and mistrust will just continue. All right, let's move on to a story that's a little less heavy, but still pretty wild. The DSI, Thailand's Department of Special Investigation, conducted a raid and seized millions of baht worth of luxury watches and other valuables.
Sounds like a major bust, right?
Well, not so fast. It turns out those luxury items might actually be fake.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, the DSI raided the property of Warathphon Paul Wortwerken, the CEO of Icon Group. They confiscated luxury watches, gold chains, amulets, all sorts of fancy stuff, valued at over 40 million baht.
But now experts are saying many of those items are counterfeit. How does something like that even happen?
Well, apparently, once photos of the seized goods were released, watch experts started noticing inconsistencies and raising red flags.
So now the DSI is facing some serious embarrassment and questions about their competence.
Exactly. They've promised an independent investigation to determine the authenticity of the items. But it really makes you wonder how they could have messed this up so badly.
This whole situation also raises concerns about the prevalence of counterfeit goods in Thailand. It's not just a problem for luxury brands, it affects all sorts of industries.
And it can have serious consequences for consumers who might be unknowingly buying fake or even dangerous products.
Right. It's a reminder to be cautious and do your research before making any big purchases.
Absolutely. We've got to be savvy shoppers.
All right, moving on to something that might not be as flashy as those scandals, but could have a far bigger impact on Thailand in the long run.
What's that?
The country is facing a serious demographic crisis. Birth rates are plummeting and the population is aging rapidly.
I've heard about this. It's a global trend, right?
It is, but Thailand is being hit particularly hard. The birth rate has dropped to just 1.1 children per woman.
Wow, that's really low.
And to put that into perspective, just 5 years ago, Thailand was seeing around 1.5 million births annually, and now it's down to about 400,000.
That's a dramatic decline. What's driving this trend?
Well, there are a lot of factors at play. Economic pressures, rising costs of living, changing social values. It's a complex issue.
And what are the potential consequences of this demographic shift?
The implications are huge. A shrinking workforce means slower economic growth. An aging population puts a strain on healthcare and social security systems. It's a recipe for a whole host of problems down the line.
So what can be done to address this?
Well, Dr. Supakit Sirlak, the director of the Health Systems Research Institute, is urging the government to take immediate action. He's warning of a looming crisis, especially for the healthcare system.
What kind of action is he proposing?
It's going to require a multifaceted approach, addressing economic concerns, providing more support for families, maybe even rethinking some social policies. It's a big challenge.
It sounds like it's going to take a real commitment for the government to tackle this effectively.
Absolutely. This isn't something that can be ignored or swept under the rug.
All right. From a potential crisis in the future, let's shift to a situation that's unfolding right now in Phuket. A group of foreign business owners are accusing a Russian swimming school owner of using intimidation tactics to try and squeeze out the competition.
Phuket, I thought that was supposed to be a tropical paradise.
It is, but even paradise has its share of problems.
So what's going on with the swimming school?
Well, the owner, a guy named Alexei Sinoju, is accused of waging a campaign of harassment and intimidation against his competitors.
What kind of tactics are we talking about here?
We're talking verbal threats, physical intimidation, even reports of a staged car accident. Some of the business owners say they're being followed and their businesses are being vandalized.
That's pretty serious stuff. What are the authorities doing about it?
The group of business owners has filed a petition with the DSI demanding an investigation into Sinoju's actions. They want to see him held accountable for what they say he's done.
This case raises some important questions about the rule of law in Thailand and whether foreign businesses are adequately protected.
It also makes you wonder, why hasn't anyone stepped in sooner to address this? If these allegations are true, it seems like this has been going on for a while.
Hopefully the DSI will take these accusations seriously and conduct a thorough investigation.
From a business battle in Phuket, let's head back to the streets of Bangkok, where we have a story that, while unfortunate, highlights the need for safety and respect even in everyday interactions. A taxi driver is accused of stabbing an Australian tourist after an argument over the fare.
Yikes, that escalated quickly.
It seems like it started with a disagreement over a slammed car door and then spiraled out of control from there.
Do we know any more details about what happened?
Well, the taxi driver, a 49-year-old man named Samran, allegedly stabbed the 39-year-old Australian tourist during the altercation. The tourist was hospitalized, and the driver was arrested.
It's a terrible situation, and it feeds into those negative stereotypes about taxi drivers in Bangkok, even though it's just one isolated incident.
It's a reminder that things can turn violent very quickly, and we all need to be mindful of how we interact with each other, even in stressful situations.
Absolutely. It's about treating each other with respect and trying to de-escalate conflicts before they get out of hand.
This incident also raises questions about safety measures for both tourists and locals when it comes to using taxis. Are there adequate mechanisms in place to prevent these kinds of situations?
It's something worth looking into. Maybe better training for taxi drivers, clearer guidelines on resolving fare disputes, or even some kind of rating system could help.
Now, from a violent encounter, let's turn our attention to the forces of nature. Heavy rains have triggered a flood warning for Bangkok and 9 surrounding provinces.
Oh, wow. Flooding in Bangkok, that can get pretty serious.
It can, and the authorities are taking this threat very seriously. The heavy rainfall in upstream provinces has caused water levels in the Chao Phraya River to rise, and they're concerned it could lead to widespread flooding.
Which areas are at risk?
Well, the Flood Relief Operations Center has issued warnings for Bangkok and 9 provinces along the Chao Phraya River: Uthai Thani, Chainat, Singbury, Engthong, Ayutthaya, Suphanburi, Lopburi, Pathum Thani, Nonthaburi, and Samut Prakan.
So a pretty significant area. What are the authorities doing to prepare?
They're monitoring the situation closely, implementing flood mitigation measures, and getting ready to provide assistance to those who might be affected. It's a race against time to try and minimize the damage.
This is another reminder of the power of nature and the need for us to be prepared for these kinds of events.
Absolutely. And it highlights the importance of investing in resilient infrastructure and having effective emergency response systems in place. Man, this deep dive into Thailand's news has been intense, hasn't it?
It really has, yeah. From police scandals to counterfeit goods and even the threat of major flooding.
It's like every time we turn around, there's another crazy story coming out of Thailand.
And while these stories might seem unrelated on the surface, I think there's a common thread running through a lot of them.
What's that?
I think they all expose these vulnerabilities that exist within Thai society, and they raise questions about whether the country is really equipped to handle them.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Like that police scandal, it just reinforces that lack of trust people have in the authorities.
Exactly, and the fact that the Talkby case is essentially closed without any real justice being served just adds to that feeling of disillusionment.
And then you have these foreign business owners in Phuket who are feeling vulnerable and unprotected. It makes you wonder if Thailand is truly welcoming to foreign investment or if it's all just a facade.
And on top of all of that, you have this demographic crisis looming in the background, which could have massive implications for Thailand's future. It's like this ticking time bomb that no one seems to be taking seriously enough.
Well, hopefully someone starts paying attention soon because the consequences of inaction could be devastating. It's not all doom and gloom, though, right? I mean, Thailand has faced challenges before and come out stronger on the other side.
Oh, absolutely. Thailand has a lot going for it. It's a beautiful country with a rich culture and resilient people. But it's going to take strong leadership and a commitment to addressing these issues head on if they want to ensure a bright future.
Well said. As we wrap up this deep dive, it's clear that Thailand is at a pivotal moment. There are some serious challenges ahead, but also opportunities for positive change. It's going to be fascinating to see how things unfold in the coming years.
Definitely. Thailand's future is being written right now, and it's up to the Thai people and their leaders to determine what that future will look like.
So, to our listeners out there, we encourage you to stay informed, stay engaged, and maybe even do a little digging of your own. There's always more to the story, and the more we understand these complex issues, the better equipped we'll be to make a difference.
Whether you're living in Thailand, planning a trip, or just interested in learning more about this dynamic country, we hope this deep dive has given you some food for thought and inspired you to explore these topics further.
Thanks for joining us, and until next time, keep exploring and keep questioning.